welcome to the Naya Show. This episode is going to be about communication skills. Last episode, last Sunday, we were talking about habit creation and the science involved in it. So this video about communications, we are going to look into three things most importantly. Firstly, we'll look into how to structure your thoughts and your thought process. Second, we are going to look into how to set intention for your communications. And finally, we are going to look into elevator pitch because I don't know how many of you know that this is one of the most crucial skills under communications. This will help your professional life and also your social life as well. So, coming to the point number one, why do we need to structure our communication? Right? Before we start, uh, I would like to say that communication is a process. Why do I say that? Is communication is a process because it follows a series of steps in order to perform effective communication. So, structuring your thoughts and your thought process complements on that note. So, let's look at why do we need to structure the thoughts. So, whenever we are going to speak about something, we are coming and sitting with an idea of touching every other point in the world on that topic, which is the worst strategy you can go ahead with if you are thinking of creating impact. When I was starting out, when I used to perform or participate in different competitions, I used to face a lot of problem in communicating effectively. And effective communication is about minimizing the number of things that you want to say, which creates the most impact, and then speaking on it. What most of the people do is that they touch anything and everything of the topic, and it really creates a lot of communication because in that person's head they will be rambling and switching from one point of view to another point of view, which creates a lot of mess in the head. Our human brain is, according to a study that I was reading about, can hold probably 3 to 7 things at a time and in the short term memory. So it's always better on that note if you take the most impactful of topics that you want to speak about and then double down on that. Then second, frameworks. Frameworks is yet another important tool for effective communication. There are different frameworks. What are frameworks? Frameworks are nothing but an effective helper, you can say, for yourself in order to communicate effectively. It gives you an outline to talk upon and extend or elaborate on that note. So frameworks can be like, for example, let's say you want to talk about a story or something that happened in your life. You can follow the framework of past, present, future, where you're talking about your past, how it impacted your present, and through that learning or anything that you realized in that journey, how will it affect your future, or how do you want it to affect your future, right? Then let's say you are talking about a problem that you want to solve. So how do you do that? So you create a framework of starting with the why, and what is the problem, and then finally how do you work around or solve that problem. So these are the effective frameworks that generally you follow. There is no rule that says you have to follow this framework. You can create your own framework, whichever works for you. So that is largely the context of or steps of becoming better at communication if you follow these. To sum it up, you put your thoughts across in a sheet of paper. You dumb down your ideas that you want to talk about. You sit with yourself and understand what you really want to talk about to your audience, and finally, you create a framework which helps you to communicate what you have decided to talk about to your audience. So, moving on to point number 2, setting intention. Intention setting is knowing or deciding prior to what you are communicating that this is the purpose of my communication and that is what I need to deliver and my audience need to know about the subject that I'm talking of. What it does, it changes your non-verbal and verbal communication style. There is a change in your delivery style, your tone, your body language, everything. And most importantly, it is more impactful because when you would have noticed that when you're really into something and you're talking about the subject that you're very passionate about, so naturally what happens, it radiates through your body in front of your subject. This most of the people would have seen this in front of your friends and majorly where you're more comfortable, right? That is what real communication is all about. Intention naturally happens behind it because when you are going to talk something very passionate and very close to your heart in front of your friend, naturally you're setting an intention that okay, I want to tell about this subject, I can't wait for it to my close friend. So that is the reality of intention setting. It is impactful, it creates an overall better, or you can say it complements your speech in front of your audience. It shows your passion, it shows great communication, it shows effective communication, and that is the reason why you need to first set intention. How do you do that? You can do it by making sure that you go and write it down. Writing is what I do mostly because it helps you to kind of just put it out there and kind of feel okay, this is what I need to speak, and be more very clear, more deliberate, and more upfront about it, and innately have that feeling of preparedness, which is always good. So always be over prepared than being under prepared. Alright, so finally we come to the main and most important topic of this video, and that is elevator pitch. So firstly, what is elevator pitch? There is nothing fancy about it. The name is fancy, but elevator pitch is a communication style which puts across your message concisely and as precisely as possible. It is structured and it creates the largest impact in a very short period of time. So let's say in 60 seconds, if you want to make an impact in front of your colleagues or in front of anybody whom you are talking to, you have 60 seconds to make a position in their minds, because people judge, people always find it very confusing if you're not placing yourself well in their minds. So creating the most impactful pitch would be the most ideal way to create a position or a statement or create an identity in your audience's mind. So how do you do that? Right, firstly, this involves the first 2 points that I was covering in this video. You have to structure your thoughts. I mean, I can't stress more on the fact that structuring your thoughts is very important, because it really puts your message well. I was telling in this video as well that the human mind can comprehend patterns and logical flow better than ambiguity. So, or as an effective communicator, you have to structure your thoughts. It is much easier for you. It may be in the initial phase when you're doing it for the first time, it may feel very hard, but that is the right way to do communication. I mean, structuring your thoughts, then setting intention for your audience, that what is the purpose behind your communication and what you want your audience to know about you or feel about you, is what is elevator's pitch. And elevator's pitch gives you the platform not only to sell yourself better, but also create the identity that you want your people around you to know about. So the next time you meet anybody new, may it be your senior, may it be your seniors, or may it be your colleagues in your office, or anyone new, or also socially as well, you have to make sure that you follow these few points in your mind so that you can sell yourself better and create a name for yourself. So with that, this I wrap this video up by summing all the 3 points: that structure, 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 set your intention, and that will give you the ideal elevator's pitch. And when somebody else asks you about it, just like me, you can tell them your story as well. Thank you. So I'll be seeing you in the next episode. I can't wait to check what next topic I will be coming out with. So stay tuned. I'll see you in the next video.